My name is John Benyon. I was initiated in school administration in upstate New York mainly. Brighton was primarily a Jewish community and was very supportive of public schools. Every year the residents of the district came out, heard the budget proposal, and there was always a tax increase attached to it. In the 10 years I was there, the budget passed every time, first try, and usually by a margin of about 2-1, even though everybody realized it would mean a property tax increase. The culture there was that the residents wanted an outstanding public school system, and they knew that you tend to get what you pay for, and so they were quite willing to have their taxes raised every year to make sure that the educational system was virtually second to none. When I came back to Utah in Provo, I found a very different mindset about supporting education. I found in my first year that we were $900,000 in the red and either had to raise taxes or make some significant cuts. And the support of the Provo schools generally was much less than I'd been accustomed to in Brighton. That tax failed the first time, which shocked me. I really went through a cultural disconnect compared to what I'd been used to in New York. We tried a second time, somewhat lowered the amount. That failed as well. So I was quite discouraged. When I got to Salt Lake 5 years later, there was somewhat more support. The property values in Salt Lake City were higher than in Provo because of all the downtown properties. So we were in better shape. What I found was, and concluded was, that the rhetoric about supporting schools and valuing public education in Utah was not that different than in New York. And I found that taxpayers in Utah were very reluctant to have their taxes increased, even in support of education. Even though some surveys say, would you be willing to have your taxes go up if you knew they would go right into the schools and improve the schools? The answer in the abstract was yes. Yeah, we'd be willing to do that. But whenever it comes to voting, either directly or through the legislature, higher taxes in support of education, it's rare in Utah that such referenda are successful. Utah, when I got there, was either last or next to last in pupil expenditure. That was way back in 1980. And that's continued to pretty much be the case from that time to now. We are dead last now in pupil expenditure. That is mainly because class sizes are higher than in the average across the nation. It's because teacher salaries are not the worst, but well below, I think it's fair to say, the national average. And the very lack of support services that I'd been used to in New York. In the district in New York, we had a full-time physical education teacher and music teacher in each of the elementary schools, and a half-time or three-quarters time art teacher. and a school nurse. None of that you'll find in Utah. We had a stronger support system for special ed, special needs youngsters, more psychologists, more social workers than is the case in Utah.